What's going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video on Fantasy Football Scout. It's transfer watch time, so we're going to go through some of the most popular transfers in and out already following Game Week 7 going into Game Week 8. And this is mostly focused around two teams. There's a few transfers out for Wolves players and definitely a few transfers in for Chelsea players as well. So we're going to talk about why that is, who might be better options, whether it's a good idea, bad idea, that kind of thing. Let's jump into the first player. So let's start off with Ziyech. Pretty good performance at the weekend against Burnley. 172,000 plus transfers in already. I think that's for a couple of reasons, right? One, obviously he did quite well. His first game in the league where he's starting from the beginning, 1 goal, 1 assist, decent returns. Obviously people had quite high expectations from him anyway, and he's already delivered straight away. So that's one reason. But also he's a pretty nice price, 8 million as well, right? So he's only a little bit more expensive than Grealish, only a little bit more than Zaha for people that want to do something a bit different. For anyone that held on to James Rodriguez, they might now have noticed that Man United are up next, and they probably don't want to keep him necessarily. We don't even know if he's going to be back as well. So perhaps some people have moved early on getting rid of him. And obviously as well, a goal and assist does do wonders. And looking at the fixtures, they're okay. I don't actually think they're that great for Chelsea from an attacking point of view. And I do think we should remember it was Burnley. And no disrespect to Burnley, but they really didn't attack too much in that game. Chelsea were never really threatened a huge amount. I think Kante played really well. They played a formation where Kante was kind of the holding. He's not necessarily a traditional holding central defensive midfielder, but he was getting around. It's like old school Kante, getting around, mopping up, tackling, winning the ball back all the time. And then they had Mount and Havertz as kind of 3/8 in behind, or in front, sorry. And then we had Werner on the left because Pulisic got injured in the warm-up, Ziyech on the right, and Abraham through the middle. So you'd assume it works so well. Maybe they keep that formation even when Pulisic is back. I'm sure Lampard will change it a little bit depending on the opposition. And Werner will go central and Pulisic will play on the left, and perhaps it'll work quite well. Fixtures-wise, like I said, they're okay. Sheffield United at home, they defended quite well against Man City and Liverpool in the last 2 games. Newcastle away is decent enough. Spurs, Leeds, Everton, Wolves. From an attacking point of view, they're not amazing, but it's a pretty good run overall, and Ziyech is only 8 million, right? So it's a pretty good purchase. The only thing for me, before I jump onto a Chelsea midfielder, is I'm still not quite sure, or a Chelsea attacker, who's the best option, right? Because we still haven't seen them all play together. Pulisic got injured in the warm-up. Werner was on the bench before that happened as well. We want to see all of them together, really. But he is the best price, so perhaps that's another good reason to go for him. Havertz, I've just seen a lot of games from him now. There's no doubt that he's a great talent, but from an FPL point of view, we just haven't seen it. He's not taking many shots in the box. He's not creating a huge amount of chances compared to other players. I think Pulisic, maybe Ziyech are the ones, but it is worth noting in that game, Ziyech created 1 chance, 1 assist. He had 1 shot in the box, 1 goal. So again, he didn't really like create lots, take lots of shots, etc. So again, it might be a bit premature to bring him in, but for 8 million, it's a good price. I can see why people are doing it. So sticking with Chelsea, we've got Kurt Zouma next. 188,000 transfers in already. A pretty good deal, I think, with him. And obviously, he scored a lot of points because he scored a lot of goals already. He's only played 6 games. He missed the game against West Brom. 3 goals he has scored already in those 6 games, which is pretty impressive. But at the same time, I've got to be thinking to myself, can he keep that up? I know that's a bit of gambler's fallacy. Just because he's done it so many times doesn't mean he'll necessarily stop. But the stats would suggest that's going to happen, right? He's not going to keep scoring 3 goals in every 6 games. He could score in the next few fixtures, though. Who knows? There's 21 higher defenders or higher expected goals from defenders than Zouma. But he is second highest for shots in the box. So he is getting the shots in. Only Harry Maguire has more. So Zouma's had 6 shots in the box and scored from 3 of them. So again, very unlikely that will keep happening. Maguire's had 8. He's the only defender higher. So Zouma has been pretty decent. But I wouldn't bring him in expecting, this sheer amount of goals to carry on. But I talked about the fixtures from a attacking point of view. From a defensive point of view, I think they're actually quite good. So again, Sheffield United, yes, they defended well against Liverpool and Man City. They're not a good attacking team, right? We know that. Newcastle, okay, Callum Wilson, decent enough, and Fraser when he come on, etc., looking good. But again, that's a pretty good fixture, I would say, from a defensive point of view. Spurs is tricky. Leeds could be tricky. Everton, who knows at that point how many players they have back, etc. And Wolves is a pretty good one as well. So overall, I think that's a good run of fixtures for a player that's only 5.2 million in a team where since Mendy's come in, he's kept a lot of clean sheets as well. And I do think overall they're looking pretty good. And if Kante plays that more kind of DM position as well, where he does usually play, but sometimes you see him go a bit further forward, then I think it's looking pretty good for Chelsea. Like I said, there wasn't very many times when Burnley kind of caused them many issues. There was a few where Zouma almost got caught by Word, but I ended up getting fouled, so it wasn't a huge issue in the end. So I actually quite like Zouma for 5.2. especially if you can't afford Chilwell because he's a little bit more expensive. What I would say is, going forward, if I had to bet some money, Chilwell surely is looking better for attacking returns going forward. He's getting in the box from open play. He's crossing the ball in plenty as well. He's really advanced down that left side, whereas Zuma scored 3 goals from 6 shots in the box, and that is unlikely to continue. So if you can afford it, I still prefer Chilwell. But Zuma looks to have that spot pretty much nailed. Christensen obviously played a bit, didn't do that well. And Zuma's come in and performed quite well next to Thiago Silva, who again, like Mendy, is a big, big help in getting clean sheets for Chelsea. So I like Zuma, 5.2 million, good price. I still prefer Chilwell though, personally. So looking at transfers out, this kind of revolves around Wolves a little bit. So Jimenez first up, 42,799 transfers out. People may be a little bit frustrated about the blank against Crystal Palace. So he only created 1 chance in that game. He had 1 shot. None in the box. It was a pretty poor performance from him. And yeah, just no real goal threat in that game at all. Obviously scored in the previous couple of games. And we know this is what he's like. He's going to continue to tick over. But he is 8.5 million. There are cheaper strikers doing as good a job, if not better. You've got Callum Wilson. You've got Bamford, who's not even played yet. Calvert-Lewin. They're all doing really well. Watkins now on penalties could be a good option for a lot less money. It's getting harder and harder to justify Jimenez, I think. Plus the fixtures again, they look pretty tough to me, right, from an attacking point of view. For a team, by the way, that's not really creating a huge amount of chances. Like, something's not going quite right for Wolves so far this season. Leicester away, Southampton at home, Arsenal away, Liverpool away, Chelsea at home, and Villa at home in the next, I think that's 6 fixtures. So Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Leicester in the next 6. That's tricky. I can see why people are looking to get rid. I think this is a good move. I think a lot of people kept for the last 3 fixtures because the fixtures look quite good. I think he was lucky to get a goal against Leeds in the way that it happened. Obviously scored last week as well. Crystal Palace, okay, frustrating, but I think it was worth a hold. And now it's probably a good time to get rid. Is it the time to be bringing in Harry Kane? Well, between him and Son, they're probably looking like some of the best captaincy options in Game Week 8. But after that, you might want to get rid. So perhaps you kind of missed the boat on that one. I really just think a downgrade is worthwhile here. Martial's come down to 8.7 million. I'm just not sure about going for Man United attack like right now. I've got Rashford, and the fixtures I think for the next kind of 2, 3, 4 fixtures are quite good. But spending 8.7 million on Martial, again, I would just prefer. I think there's much better value in the cheap strikers. Now, who's the best one? I don't know if we fully know that yet. Like, Callum Wilson's fixtures from Game Week 10 are quite good. Bamford's from Game Week 12 are quite good. Morpay's from now are pretty decent, but we don't know what happened like last night. Why didn't he play against Spurs? Why was he not in the squad? We've not heard any news about that, at least at the time we're recording. But there are a lot of cheap strikers. So personally, I think a downgrade, you save 2 to 2.5 million. You can spend that in midfield, in defence, wherever you want to put it. But I do think this is a good transfer out. So we've had a good ride of Jimenez, not just this season, but over past seasons. But for me, 8.5 million, he's never going to hit those double-digit hauls consistently enough to warrant paying that much money for him. So sticking with Wolves, we've got Sice, 74,000 transfers out already. And this is kind of what we were waiting for, right? A lot of Sice owners have been, I'm in an iron, should I get rid of him, should I not? And I've kind of said myself a few times, I would wait until a left wing back actually starts, and when there's only one spot for Sice or Kilman, and then see who starts, and then we'll kind of know who's nailed on. And Neil, to be fair, on the Team News live stream, did say, once things are settled, Nuno doesn't really change it around a huge amount in defence, so Kilman will probably keep his place, and that is what happened. Does that mean that Kilman is forever now going to be first choice left centre-back? Potentially not. Sice played for virtually a whole year without putting too much of a foot wrong, getting pretty much a decent return of clean sheets, especially when Bolly was in the side. So you could say it was Bolly that does a lot of the work, but ultimately that Sice, Cody, Bolly back 3 has done pretty well. But Kilman's come in and done really well. Only conceded 1 goal in the last 3, and even that was a pretty, freak free kick or whatever. Like, it was, not from open play, etc. So in the last 3, they've not conceded any from open play. Defence is still looking good. Who'd you go to from Sice? I mean, Kilman could be a good option, but like I spoke about with the fixtures, they're not fantastic for defensive returns. But depending on the rest of your defence and who you've got in, what your structure is, etc., maybe, I don't know, maybe you've got like a Trent and a Lamptey and a, Leeds defender, Villa defender, whoever it might be, a Chilwell, a Zuma. If you've got enough defenders to cover the bad fixtures, maybe you do just get Kilman in and save some money. And to be fair, even though those fixtures might not look good from an attacking point of view, it's a bit like Chelsea when I was talking about that just a minute ago. From a defensive point of view, they're probably not bad. Villa, they could get a clean sheet. Chelsea at home, could they limit Chelsea? I mean, they just scored 3, but that was against Burnley. Wolves will put up more of a fight, you'd think. Southampton at home, again, that could be a decent fixture, especially if Danny Ings is out. So there's a lot to like about the Wolves defence. I would probably not go to Ait-Nouri right now. I know he scored. He's very tempting at 5 million, but is there a guarantee that he keeps his place and Marçal doesn't come back in? Let's not forget, he had a bit of an injury, so he couldn't play in that game, but he may be back fit for the next game, and who knows who plays at that point. So the Wolves defence is a bit all over the place. I think if I was sticking with one of those, I'd probably go to just straight to Kilman, rather than going to Cody or paying the extra for Bolly. Or there's loads of cheap defenders. I still think Villa defenders look okay, even though they conceded 4 yesterday. I mean, 2 direct free kicks, a set-piece goal for Vestergaard, and obviously a worldie from Danny Ings. That's not going to happen too often. So I think Villa defenders still look good. Obviously, you can spend a bit extra, potentially, depending on what price you paid for Seiss, and just go to Zuma. So there's lots and lots of options, but I do think this is a good transfer out. The fixtures aren't fantastic. You don't know if he's going to play. No reason to keep him. So that's it for this one. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have, please do give it a like. Hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. And let me know in the comments below what you think of these transfers in and out. Is Ziyech a bit too soon? Who are you going to get rid of Seiss for, etc.? Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't already checked out the Fantasy Football Scout members area, there's loads of Opta stats, a lot of the ones I've talked about in here, you can get over there. There's heat maps, there's comparison tools, there's rate my team tools. If you're unsure about a transfer, you can check how it would affect your team. If you want to check that out, there's a link to that in the description below. Give it a go, see what you think. You can sign up for a year, you can sign up monthly, whatever it might be. Otherwise, I'll leave this video here. I will leave it there. We'll be back tomorrow with captaincy video, scoutcast, and all the good stuff for the rest of the week. Good luck in game week 8, and good luck with your transfers.